Hi, Jen.
Hi, sorry, I'm slamming this in between.
It's okay. We're waiting because we don't have quorum yet.
Oh, okay.
We're just making sure we hit quorum. Do we need 7? We need 7.
Yes.
Okay. Come on, one more.
So the
Uh,
quorum is half plus one?
Yeah, okay, well, if it's 13, then it has to be 7.
Yeah.
Not 6.
Right. Right.
And they can't be online. Has
And
to
they can't
live.
be on Zoom. Quorum has to be in person.
Really?
Yes,
That's so discriminatory.
state law.
I am.
Yeah.
They changed the state law after COVID because who was controlling the state house and them not approving of COVID measures. And so, yes,
Maybe somebody on Zoom nearby can
we,
buzz over for a vote.
Yeah,
I-
right.
Or we could just have a meeting and not vote on anything until next time.
that's true. We can just do that.
have
Which
the
is
meeting.
what we usually did.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to do that. It looks like, so,
Is there anybody else that said they can make it that's not?
Um,
Everybody is there.
Teresa and Catherine.
What?
You were
yeah, Teresa and Catherine are the only two that we don't have,
not
right?
here. I didn't hear that they weren't going to be here, so.
Okay,
But as 12:35, we can start and
There must be three missing.
yeah, I'm missing a name, so
we do my thinking, put my thinking cap on here. Who's missing?
Hi, everyone. I just want to say hello because I just joined a minute ago. It's Linnea. Make sure that I'm captured on there.
we're trying to figure out how to move forward here.
Who is missing? Teresa. Catherine.
Well, we're by 3 organizations. What is it? Emma. 3 organizations, Emma. 3 artists.
Emma's there.
Oh, Emma.
Four,
Hey, Emma. Or 4.
four organizations, 4 artists and 4
See,
residents.
the
Yeah.
4 organizations.
And
are 1, 2,
Kate.
3, 4. The 4 residents.
Is there someone from, sorry, it's Emma. Is there someone from PMAC? Was Eli supposed to? Oh, hi, Eli. I didn't see you hiding over there. Nice to see you.
Missing an artist. I believe. Who are we missing?
Well, I'm happy to take notes and if we need to tee things up for a vote for voting next time, that's probably the best way
I
to.
can take notes because I was planning to volunteer for that anyway.
But I don't know if we can vote on that, correct?
No, but we can take notes
Okay.
at a minimum, at least.
Okay,
And share them. Share the notes. They won't be minutes.
That
Because
sounds-
it's not a formal
right.
meeting, but that's okay.
Okay,
That's
so
okay.
welcome everyone to this gathering of the newly appointed Arts and Culture Commission. It looks like we don't have a quorum, so we're gonna meet and meet and greet and introduce a few topics that you all need to think about and then make some decisions about. But we'll make those decisions and take those votes when we can. That sound right? Okay, so I'll say welcome. Council Cook, I don't know if you want to welcome others.
Welcome, everyone. Super excited that you're all here and that we're getting started and excited that we have a new Arts and Cultural Commission. And I hope that you guys have a lot of ideas and you bringing those to the table because I think that there's a lot of work to do. We will have a new cultural plan in place, hopefully by the beginning of March. I think hopefully by the March 4th council meeting. That's my goal. And this
So
committee.
that would be like the city council votes to accept it?
Yes, exactly. And then this committee will hopefully hit the ground running. So on that. And today's just housekeeping.
Yes, so
When do you think that'll be voted on?
March 4th, I hope.
I have
It
a
all
meeting
depends.
later this afternoon. It is being formatted, but so let me just say, I was corrected the other day. It's Arts and Cultural Commission. I was calling it the Arts and Culture Commission, just so we all have the same language. Cultural is the ordinance language.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. Introductions, I think a lot of folks know each other, but I think we should formally go around and introduce each other, ourselves to each other. Why don't we start on Zoom since you guys are a little distance away? Please. Oh, who is? Courtney, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I'm Courtney Perkins. I'm the Executive Director for Prescott Park Arts Festival. I will toss it to Robin.
Robin Albert, Sean, I don't know how much you want us to say. I'm in the representing residents of the city. I've worked in both arts and culture and health and human service in Portsmouth for 50 years.
Thank you for your service.
Even longer than Robin.
Great. Linnea?
Hi, everyone. I'm Linnea Grimm. I'm the executive director at Strawberry Bank Museum. And coming up, I'm at 11 and a half months. So I will have been here a year very soon. And it's been such a pleasure living in Portsmouth and starting to get to know everyone and being a part of a group like this. So really excited to be here.
Welcome. Emma?
Hi, everyone. Emma Stratton, Executive Director of Portsmouth Historical Society. I had the pleasure of serving on the Cultural Plan Subcommittee as well. So nice to be back with so many familiar faces. And I'll call on Catherine if you're there on Zoom.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
So we'll switch. Eli, please.
Eli Kaner. I am a cellist, but I also represent PMAC down the street down in Islington.
Can everyone hear Eli?
Oh, sorry.
Make sure. Okay.
Genevieve Achel, I'm here in my capacity as a theater artist. I could be any of the others. I've been a Portsmouth resident since 1978, just a few years shy of Robin, probably. I just wanted to say that, I've been through SACA, the Seacoast Arts and Culture Alliance, the Portsmouth Arts and Historic Collaborative, and then ArtSpeak. And I am so happy that we actually have an officially city-sanctioned commission. Thanks to this woman right here.
And the prior committee did a lot of work. So Kate Cook, and I'm here in my capacity as the city council representative.
Yeah, I'm Ken Goldman. I'm not sure if I'm here as a resident or as an artist because I'm a photographer and do a lot of photography around the area.
I'm Jeffrey Cooper. I also could wear two hats as a resident and a local artist. I'm a furniture maker, so representing the studio artists in Portsmouth. Well, not the only one representing studio artists.
Thank you for that setup, Jeffrey. Karen Rosania, and I am an artist. I'm fairly new to Portsmouth, only been here since 2021. I've been visiting for like 30 years though and love it. And I was co-chair of the Cultural Plan Subcommittee, which was a great experience. We're glad to get that done. And I think I'm here as an artist, but also a resident as well.
So, and I guess this is a note from Catherine, who is here, or in a lesson. We'll say hi in about 20 minutes, so we'll come back to that. But so if you don't know me, Sean Clancy, Assistant City Manager for Economic and Community Development. I am your staff liaison, ex officio to the group. And as we went around, I think it might be good to confirm which category everyone's in so that we can stay true to the ordinance.
Right. And I can do that. for
Right.
you.
Great.
So we have our first, our institutional members are PMAC in the room, Prescott Park Arts Festival, Portsmouth Historical Society, and Strawberry Bank. So those are our institutional memberships. And then for our artist members, Karen, Jeffrey, Ken, and Genevieve are artist representatives. So representing three different types of visual arts, photography, furniture making, and stained glass, and theater arts as well. So we have those well represented, and we didn't have musical arts because we're well represented with our PMAC rep for musical arts, which helps that he also happens to be in the symphony. So that's great. And then our community members are not well represented here right now. Robin is representing all of them, but Robin can do that very successfully, I have no doubt. And Catherine and Teresa and Jason are not here yet, and Catherine will be here soon. So
Jason,
Goodrich.
oh,
Yes.
Jason.
Jason Goodrich. So, and a lot of the people here also, even out of our community members, not only have experience with the arts, but are actually kind of do double duty there. We know Robin has extensive experience in the arts in the community. But our other community members actually do teach art lessons or are involved in film in the film festival or involved with theater in the community. So it's not that they're just community members, it's their community members that are active participants in the arts. So.
Can I ask a curious question?
Sure.
Well, were there a lot of people that applied that really had nothing to do with the arts in the city?
No, but there were 2 or 3 that did not have a history, I would say, of working in the arts in the city.
I did not see the applicant list.
Mhm.
I just asked for who's on it.
Mhm.
I have a similar question. It's wonderful that we have the 4 nonprofits, organizations, we've said, but did any for-profit arts and culture organizations or businesses apply?
No, they did not, but one of our community volunteers works for a for-profit institution. Well, no, Firefly Pottery, which is a for-profit
Oh.
local
And who's
institution.
that?
Teresa.
Teresa?
Teresa works for Firefly teaching classes. So we do have that represented in one way in the community. Yeah. But no one else did apply that was for profit. Maybe next time. So
Any other questions before we open the discussion?
I was just gonna say, it's certainly built into the cultural plan to collaborate with the for-profits for sure. Yeah.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Great. So I'll just open up the discussion, as I think this is the second arts group that I've launched, and you all get to decide how you want to operate and a structure for the group, meeting cadence. So I'll open it up to the floor if anyone has thoughts on structure. One last comment. The other groups that I support, there's a chair and a vice chair, and sometimes a secretary to take notes. So, or sometimes it's co-chairs, but I'll toss it out to the group and see where the discussion goes.
I had one other clarifying question. Were you going to talk about terms, just so everybody's clear on how long, or is that?
those are not set yet.
Okay.
I have to verify people's length of terms with the clerk, because the clerk will set that based upon a healthy rotation. And so we didn't have the set numbers yet, so I need to check that with the clerk's office. But the clerk will plug everyone into 1 or 2 or 3 year terms to make sure that there's a rotation. The one advice I gave was that our institutional members should not be plugged into 1 year terms for this first round, because because they're not allowed to apply again, whereas all of our community members and artists are allowed to reapply. So I asked that our institutional members be given it at minimum 2 year terms to start. So that was the only request I put in.
One other clarifying question. Is this commission going to be, is the meeting structure going to be based in its form on the prior cultural planning, any of the prior groups that met? Like, is it once a month? Is it once a week? Like, what's the meeting plan?
There's no rules around that.
Mhm.
So you need to decide how you're going to operate and your leadership structure and your meeting cadence. It's a blank slate.
Mhm.
Can you talk a bit about, you mentioned either a chair and a vice chair or co-chairs. Can you talk a bit about the whys and why nots of either structure?
Well, just, and I don't have a ton of experience with the EDC as a chair and a vice chair, and the vice chair sits in the chair's chair. Whoa. If if the chair is not there. Oh, okay, that's
Don't say
you're
that
all
fast.
rubbing off on me, but
Dr. Seuss.
Chairs them along.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's really what it is. I mean, someone needs to chair the meeting. So if the vice chair knows if the chair knows that they cannot be there, they'll confirm that the vice chair is there to run the meeting. In the case of co-chairs, which some of you experienced with cultural planning subcommittee, it's just a different variation of that.
But Karen, how did you feel? I mean, you were a co-chair. How did that work for you? How did you feel that as opposed to having a chair and a co-chair?
Yeah, so I only was in a co-chair structure and I actually thought it worked well. Definitely to have somebody else kind of, backing each other up. And like Sean said, if you've got a vacation or something, you couldn't partake live or Zoom, that somebody else could fill in and just help to kind of share the workload. I think that's important. Whoever's gonna, if that's the structure that happens, just making sure that people are in a position to be able to share the
Yeah,
workload.
and I'll say in the EDC, they operate similarly. I meet with the chair and vice chair. I think they collaborate on the agenda, on
Mhm.
priorities. So they operate very similarly. It's just it's more of a it's just more of a,
Semantics.
yeah.
When you were making the agendas, Karen, were you basically sitting down with Alan and saying, here's the agenda? Or did you basically give it to him because you had the continuity as the co-chair throughout?
Yeah.
And John was the co-chair for the first several months and Alan filled in.
Yeah. I think it was always designed together, but we also did a lot of joint meetings with Arts and Nonprofits Committee. So Barbara and Russ and Alan and I mutually agreed upon and had input on the agenda, as well as input from the participants of the committee too. So we tried to really make sure that was captured for the agendas. Mhm.
So while you all are thinking, I'll just say, so, I mean, there's just, as Karen knows, there's some responsibility when you're in that chair to set the agenda, to make sure it gets to the city clerk, to make sure it gets posted and noticed for public meetings. That's, that's how a lot of the commissions work, and Councilor Cook sits on a lot of others, but there is that level of responsibility because this is a public commission, it's a public body, the meetings are public. My role is to facilitate what needs to be done from a staff standpoint, whether it's at the meeting like this or in between meetings, if I can be helpful. But at the end of the day, the bulk of the responsibility falls to the commission.
So a lot of it's going to depend on what hands go up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how they feel about it. If hands do go up, how do
Sure.
the people's hands? I mean, I'm gonna raise my hand for secretary, but not for chair. I don't know if there's anybody who's thinking to be chair or vice chair.
Yeah, right. So I'm not leading the discussion. I want to facilitate. I'll just, an observation is if this group today would like to send either nominations or self-nominations, and I can collect and send out or bring them to the next meeting, if it's
Yeah.
more of a, I won't say competitive, if it's more of a conversation about who's interested and how that would work. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's like, I'll do it. Okay, all right, thank you. You're the chair.
Well, I mean,
Have everybody represented, like
Exactly.
how many people are not
Exactly.
on
Alright.
Zoom or here
So,
today?
yeah.
Is it just one or two?
We just
or
have three
three?
that
Okay.
are not here. So this is a smaller group
Yeah.
than what we had worked with in the past. That's a positive because that means you get things done faster
Yeah.
usually. It's easier to have a discussion. But yes, there are three missing.
Yeah, and their
Um,
feedback would be pretty critical, I would think.
Do we
And-
want to throw out, since this is not a meeting and we're not gonna have,
Right.
so I guess we can't make decisions.
We can't make a vote. We can't vote today. So
Yeah, so I mean, is there a sense in the room of, co-chairs versus chair and assistant?
basically, is there anybody who's thinking to raise their hand?
I mean, I'd be willing to be either the vice chair or a co-chair. I don't want to be the chair.
I think I started something.
It's a new
Yeah.
title.
I couldn't see who was speaking.
Oh, this is Ken Goldman, real.
Oh, thanks, Ken. I should recognize your voice. Sorry.
It's okay.
So does everyone just need time to think about it? And get back to us on this? I will say that I don't think, I'm a chair of another committee. I don't feel like it's a real heavy lift if you've got a lot of workers on your committee who are doing the background work. And I know from my experiences with this group that there are a lot of workers here. So, so those that I, have worked with in the past, I'm confident that, whoever chairs or co-chairs, this committee is going to have, is not going to have a high level of outside work. That's what I would say.
Terms for the chairs and co-chairs, is that a year or?
It's 1 year. The city council ordinances say that you have to elect a chair in January of the year for your committee, if your committee's sitting.
Right.
Any new committee elects immediately, and so then you would re-elect in January.
Yeah. So in the EDC, we just had a changeover in leadership and in January. So while you're thinking about that, I want to introduce the topic of meeting and cadence. Your question, Eli. It is a blank slate. The EDC meets one Friday morning a month, 7:30. It just got in that routine. It's been that way for a long time. Lots of groups meet at night, not lots. The park group, the Public Arts Review Committee, we meet from 5:15 to 6:30 on last Wednesday of the month. That's what they chose. That's what worked for them. The previous arts groups would meet Mondays, 12
At
to
noon.
1 or 12 to 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to work for those groups. So this is a new group with some familiar faces, and it really is open for discussion. And maybe this is a good use of times to talk about that.
Well, there's 7 people from the other 2 groups that are carried over onto this. So it kind of lends itself to the Monday noon because at
Good.
least 7 of us have had that habit.
So
That's
Monday at
when-
noon.
It was 12 to 1 or on Mondays.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
12 to
1:30.
That would work for me.
Is
Yeah,
there,
me too, yeah.
is there anyone that doesn't work for? I think that that's the important question. That Mondays are absolutely not workable.
As long as it gets worked into a routine ahead of time, it's
Yeah, and get
then
scheduled
I
out.
think it's a good time, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Mondays are great. For me, Thursday mornings are really bad because I do tours at the shipyard, not when the weather's nicer. So I really hate to bail on that.
Yeah.
But Monday, middle of the day is, I very rarely have anything routinely planned.
Yeah.
Catherine is joining us, has joined us. Hi, Catherine.
Hello. Hi, guys. I'm down in Boston now, so I really can't meet until after 1 o'clock on pretty much any given day. But
Okay.
other than that, I'm pretty good. Okay, I'm Catherine. Hi.
Hi.
I'm a rowing coach down here in Boston. I'm leaving the VA right now. And I'm one of the community members, and I'm very excited to be part of all of this. I've been involved in arts in different capacities over the years. I am not an artist. I am not a musician. I do have a background in art history and dance and that kind of stuff. So, but that's me.
Great.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Did you say you were a rowing coach?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Very
So-
timely, boys on the boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's picking up.
Yeah.
Do we have a list of all the members of the commission?
That would be
So-
great.
That'd be really handy to have.
With our contacts.
With contact info.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be really nice to know who everybody is.
I
We can do
think
that.
that'd be great.
That'd be
Yeah.
handy.
Yeah, I think that would be very
We
helpful.
can make,
I think it's important to note that we do have a member that can't meet at
Yes.
noon on Mondays. So,
What about 1 to 2?
Well-
You said,
I can do, I'm like coach until 1 o'clock pretty much every day. But other than that, I'm,
Down in Mass though, right, Kathy? Down in Mass.
right.
so then at 1 o'clock, if you're meeting at 1 o'clock, you're in the car or you're traveling.
Yeah, or an office or something, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, we haven't heard from others on Zoom. Thoughts on the times that really don't work or really do work?
Mondays and Fridays are usually best for me. I try to keep my calendar pretty clear to get thinking work done. So those two are generally pretty free from standing meetings.
Mondays at 1 are fine with me instead of noon. It's fine.
Yeah, I have no standing meetings on Monday, so it would be fine.
Question is what time Catherine actually can't be here? Because you said you're in the car at 1 o'clock. You're coaching until 1 o'clock. So you wouldn't be in Portsmouth until 3 at the earliest.
Right, but I could do Zoom related meetings.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I could meet at 1, but I couldn't meet later than that as I teach on Mondays at the university.
Okay. Yeah, if Catherine doesn't mind 1 o'clock. And if there would be an opportunity for us to actually see you in person every once in a while, maybe.
Yeah,
I just don't want to, I don't want to put, I don't
no,
think it's
that's, yeah.
anyone in that position that they're stuck on Zoom forever. In a commission.
Like a night.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing some coalescence around 1 o'clock on Mondays.
Mhm.
For an hour,
Sure.
once a month.
Okay.
Those are questions.
I don't know. I mean, how often did the previous committee meet? Once a month? or-
Once-
Yeah, but we also had a very condensed time frame to
Was
get
there-
the cultural plan done, so
Well, I guess, I mean, I'm in my
Yeah,
mind is once a month sufficient or do we need to do it more frequent? I mean, I don't have a good feel for this.
yeah, and you know, totally open to what works with this committee, but we did have work groups that would break out and
Okay.
work on projects kind of in between our live meeting dates.
Mhm.
So and I think there was a lot of flexibility and support around that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, once a month is good because then other things can happen in between.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I'm maybe one of the ones that hasn't seen the new cultural plan. What's the body of work we're going to be tackling? I mean, could that set the number of meetings that we?
It's pretty extensive,
Yeah.
but we have to we'd have to prioritize and
Sure.
yeah.
Is once a month.
But I don't want you to be
sufficient?
overwhelmed when you see it.
No, yeah.
And it's not meant to happen in a year.
Right, yes.
5 to 10-year.
Of course.
Yes.
We can always do once a month and if we find that that's not sufficient, we can
Yeah.
adjust.
Sure.
it.
Yeah,
Sure.
Not cast in concrete, is it?
right.
I can give an example. The Public Art Review Committee meets once a month,
Mhm.
but they met twice this month. And then they had 3 public input sessions. All because they're in the middle of a process for public art for Pierce Island.
Yeah.
So they knew they had to meet an extra time. It was twice in January they had to meet.
Right.
Because they had to prepare these public input sessions. So they just scheduled an extra meeting.
And that was their choice. It wasn't forced upon them. And I will say that that is a group that is small but mighty. They do a lot of the work outside of the meeting. They broke into 2-person little work groups to really do the legwork and then bring it back. So they operate very efficiently.
Mhm.
Not that I'm raising the bar on you all, but just to say, it's not like you get 1 hour a month to execute on a cultural plan. It really depends how the group approaches the
I would
work.
expect the same to happen here because what Karen said, we had the work group format
Mhm.
and we're going to look at the plan, prioritize what we want to tackle first.
Mhm.
Whatever we decide is our priorities goes to task groups.
And if I could jump in, I also think that because it's new, it's going to take us a while and maybe in March, we might want to have a kind of more of a retreat, find a date where we can actually meet for 3 hours or 4 hours with maybe a facilitator to dig into stuff and really get us going. It's just an option we could have.
Mhm.
Just in the for what it's worth department, I'm gonna be gone a good part of March. Leave on February 29th and I come home the 22nd of March. So
So it's looking like that third week, that fourth week of March is maybe the best plan. You know, as far as meetings go, I don't know.
So, the fourth.
I don't want to I want to be careful because Sean has public art also the fourth week of the month. So
Right.
I think it'd be better to be conscientious of the fact that Sean's schedule is already I don't know when you have EDC. But making sure that we don't we have to be mindful of staff hours. I think that that's really important. I'm thrilled that we have someone who's interested in being a secretary because that does cut down on staff hours significantly. We have somebody taking notes for the committee and producing those minutes because otherwise staff ends up having to do that. And so we just have to be mindful of making sure that we don't overload Sean, even though Sean is always happy to take on the work. I'm going to be mindful of that and trying not to double book him in 1 week if we can.
Thank you, but thank you, Counselor, but I'll say that it's fine. I mean, the park group has 2 former city councilors on it, and they don't come to me very often. They like rock and roll and they get it done, right?
They do.
So all that to say, if the fourth Monday in March is a good place to start, that's fine. Yeah, my EDC meetings are the first Friday, and that's I like meetings on Mondays because that's our long day. I like to get out of my office a little bit, truth be told. But Ken, to your point, I'll just say having a meeting and then talking about whether it makes sense to do something longer, or Robin, to do something longer, you know, to orient the group. That's something the group can decide. You can decide to set your meeting schedules, your priorities. So once your structure and your leadership is in place and you've got a plan and you say, we want to be in a room for 3 hours and really, you know, put some meat and potatoes to this thing, that's certainly an option, I believe.
Well,
Right,
should we
Counselor?
just make the March meeting a longer meeting? Make the March meeting a 3-hour meeting and then go to the 1-hour meetings?
I can't do it on that date.
On the 25th.
I think we would have to plan it.
Yeah, I think
That
you
would be the first time
It
we
would be
would
the
meet anyway,
26th.
so.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
On the 25th,
Like
20.
that.
26.
25th.
25th.
Why is the wrong month?
If that's not a longer one, if Monday, the 25th, we met for an hour and just established leadership and some guidelines,
Mhm.
I'd be fine meeting even the week after that, 2 meetings in a row, 2 weeks in a row potentially, and get onto a different schedule potentially, so that Sean doesn't have to do every 4th Friday of every month, load up on all of his meetings.
Yeah, the Monday after that, I think this room is booked in the afternoon. It's Student Government Day. So I think that this room is booked. I may be wrong.
Is this the only meeting room besides the council chambers?
There's one other, the school board room, but we don't use it frequently because the Zoom capabilities aren't as good.
Right, and this is a large group. I'm thinking of other conference rooms I know about that have this capability, and most of them will not hold 12 people very comfortably.
We could do it at the library.
Yeah.
Or the senior center too.
It brings up a
Space.
good question. Just, this is my first government committee in Portsmouth that I've
Yes.
served on. Is there like a handbook, or are we subject to open meeting law? Do we need to meet in City Hall?
Yeah,
Like,
good
are
question.
there any of those guidelines?
Yeah, we don't want to,
Great
hear from
question.
the city attorney that we've done something illegal.
Right, so, I can give a really brief primer on, yes, we are subject to open meeting laws because you're an appointed committee for the city of Portsmouth. That means that when it comes to communications, never reply all to email that you've received about the committee from any member of the committee. because you want to avoid creating a quorum of the committee on email. And that's also the reason that you receive all of your information from Sean. Because the committee chairs will try to avoid creating a quorum by sending out information to the entirety of the committee. But Sean can do that, because he's an ex officio member of the committee. The other thing that's important is that you don't make decisions outside of your meetings. So the official decisions of the committee all have to be made in your meetings, which are open to the public. You also shouldn't have sequential conversations between members of the committee sharing information about decision making, so that you create a quorum by having those conversations. You think about if somebody wants something done and they call one person and that person calls the next, and like, if you hit quorum doing that, you've officially had a meeting outside the committee. So it's all just an effort to make sure that when we're spending taxpayer dollars, that the public is well informed about the decision-making process and we're not making decisions behind closed doors.
Yes, so the working group model works well because you keep the numbers small, you do this pre-work, draft work, and decisions are made back at the full commission meeting. It works very well for the EDC. And it's worked in the past for this group as well, previous groups.
Yeah, working group is below quorum, always.
And
We all had to sign an oath of office.
Oh.
Has everybody signed the book? Okay. All right.
Right here.
So you just go to the clerk's office, and if you haven't signed the book and you sign the book, I know that Robin will have to do that when she returns. But you sign the book and take your oath of office as a commission member. So
That's something I can do when I leave here.
yes, absolutely. You can go to the clerk's office and sign the book.
Yeah.
So
Office it
Takes
is.
2 seconds.
just around the corner
Mhm.
in City Hall. But that's what's different about being on an appointed committee or commission versus being on a blue ribbon committee
task.
or a task force. Yes.
So I'm hearing a first meeting on Monday, the 25th. 1 to 2.
I have to just check my calendar, and I left my phone in the car. I'm sorry.
No.
Too much going on today.
If that can be proposed and suggested in the email.
Yeah,
That go
that
out
we
though, I
confirm
think
that.
the other remaining members that aren't on this call could weigh in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll capture this.
So is
conversation.
that's tentative?
Well. can
Tentative,
everybody
but
here do it?
likely.
I mean,
But we're missing
2.
2.
Yeah.
It's tentative anyway, because no decisions are made at this meeting today,
Right.
well, there's no,
but I'll.
you can
I'll
make a
hold it
decision
for
about
sure.
a date, you just can't
Yeah.
vote on it.
And we can have discussion because it's,
Yeah, and
Open
historically,
and noticed.
to Jeffrey's point, historically, Jason has been able to make these Monday
Mhm.
midday.
Yeah. So it's really, we just have one, Teresa, that we're not sure about on those days. So. I think that's it.
So for process, Jeffrey, if you want to send me your notes.
Yeah.
I'll combine them with my notes and just try to pull all this together so that we know what's happening next.
Keeping in mind that they're notes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Language is very important. This is why we work in working groups,
Mhm.
not subcommittees,
Mhm.
right?
Yes,
Counselor?
exactly.
So,
Subcommittees actually have to be appointed and then,
right.
and
So
when they're,
Just be careful, and it is a language thing, but it really matters because, we just want to get used to that. It works very well and, keeps us on the right side of the rules.
Mhm.
Question. So in the notes, can we tell the other people that Ken graciously has raised his hand and that we're looking for another person to co-chair with him? Is that appropriate?
Or be the chair.
Or chair. Yeah,
Well, could we just go around the room and see if there's anyone else who's interested? I mean, is
you
that
can do what the
possible to
commission
do?
wants to do. I'm here to
Okay.
support you.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, otherwise we just keep putting it off via email.
Jump in, Jen.
My vow this morning was do not volunteer to chair this committee.
About,
Okay, well, you're in.
Okay.
I've had a long week. I haven't been thinking straight, so.
Is there anyone else on Zoom or in the room that's interested?
Oh, we have a hand up.
Well, then obviously it's Teresa.
Linnea, is that your hand? No.
Oh,
No.
Emma,
I thought hand.
that's mine.
Oh.
Oh,
You know what? Sean, just float that hand over
Eli?
somebody so we can.
Go. Wow, that was funny.
So clearly, it's Teresa, obviously.
it's Teresa.
Yeah.
So, so everybody needs some more time to think about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Because somebody needs to,
Yeah,
Mhm.
or we need someone.
we need at least
Two.
one more person,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'll just say the other thing with Monday meetings is sometimes the Monday holidays will not, this room won't be open.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
Let's
guess-
see.
Past, but
Yeah,
May, for sure.
right.
Well, May is Victoria Day. That's the only thing on the, what is it? A Memorial Day. We could do, would the third Monday work better than the fourth Monday?
Yeah, maybe we put that as an option in the email.
Mm-hmm.
I was
The
thinking.
third Mondays don't look bad anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only have an issue with this in March.
the first-
The only thing we need to really set right now is for March.
Okay, so let's set the March one at the fourth, and then if the group thinks about, we'd rather set the third going forward, then that can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing is set in stone.
Can I ask everyone to hold that time in April on the third or the fourth Monday?
Yeah.
Hold both of those times just in case. I know that in April I am gone the fourth Monday, just so everyone's aware.
And I'm not available on the third Monday in April as it's Patriots Day and I'm doing the marathon.
Oh, April has 5 Mondays.
Yes.
Really? Yeah, that's
And you can also choose to be the last instead of the third or the fourth, or you could choose the last.
true.
Which is what-
Choose the
That would
last.
work.
Too.
That's the 29th. So the marathon is on the 22nd,
It's on the 15th.
15th. So that's, oh, I see.
Second is spring break for the local public schools.
Right, so more food for thought. You can choose the last or the first. It doesn't have to be the third or the fourth or the first.
Right,
Lots of ways to do it. Lots of ways to slice the apple.
All right.
right.
Yeah.
And then you, and just, you can then just have a series of meetings that, you set the calendar in advance. You're gonna have a few that move. If it's the fourth or the last, you're gonna have that Memorial Day issue, and it's gonna either move up a week or however you guys want to handle that.
There's not a requirement that it's the same day each month. It's just what it seems to work,
Easy
right?
to
When you know,
schedule out.
recurring.
Right.
It helps if I'll make sure I book the room, make sure it's available. So, then we'll see where the other responsibilities fall once we're all in place.
And I think other feedback that we've received from committee members too is just to be very mindful of holidays.
Mhm.
Different holidays for different religions and all that. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, that's really important. City Hall, is, we don't do, certain holiday, like we have certain holidays we don't schedule meetings on,
Mhm.
Including Jewish holidays.
Yeah.
So, I think that that's important to remember. Oftentimes we'll get, messed up in December
Mm-hmm.
because there are a few holidays there, but there's also the holy days in early fall. So,
Don't worry about Hanukkah though. I mean, Hanukkah's a festival. It's not really,
right.
it's not a big deal. High holy days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosh Hashanah is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're good pretty much on either the last or the fourth, generally speaking. I just looked through the calendar.
The
Um,
ones we should avoid.
No.
no.
Okay.
No, we're all good. We're all good. Except other Memorial Day is the only one that's hanging out.
Right. But we can nail all that down next month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll in the email that I eventually send out, I'll just kind of try to capture the points that want people thinking about to show up in March to be able to move forward and make some decisions, take some votes, solidify things for the group so that there's not, we shouldn't leave that first March meeting with a lot of questions. Hopefully you all are like, okay, this is how we're launching, and then you'll adjust accordingly. Sound right?
I gotta go teach a class.
Okay.
Yeah, an art class.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Karen, are you Olive T Arts?
Olive teal art.
Olive Teal.
Yeah,
Oh,
the two greens.
you keep
And
coming
you.
up on my Facebook friends thing. And I was like,
Yeah. yeah,
okay, now I know who you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a question. This may sound silly, but
so where's the teal?
is part of the plan to have the cultural plan itself bound in some way? Is that,
Yes.
but that won't be done until later after the council approves it, et cetera.
Right, that is the plan. The reason that I asked specifically for it to go to the council first for approval, it's more of a formality than anything, because the council is not going to reject it. It's just that I didn't want the city spending money on printing something if the council hadn't at least seen it first. And it's also a matter of number of eyes on something. So you never know when that last group of eyes looks at something and they find a misspelling of something somewhere. I'd like to have the final blessing and vote, and then it goes to print. And then if we find misspellings later,
Sure,
it doesn't
sure.
matter.
I guess, thank you. Part of the reason I asked is that it would be great for us to not only have copies of it, but have copies available if people are asking about it, or we're,
Oh, yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It'll be public, available at your disposal.
great.
Mhm.
Okay, so I had something I wanted to bring up. In that, in the cultural plan, there's a whole lot about studio live workspace.
Mhm.
And I just read in the paper this morning that before the planning board is this big housing development going on at Christmas tree shops. So I was thinking about going to that meeting and trying to suggest that maybe they could incorporate live work studio space into their plan. I take it I would be doing that as a private citizen rather as a member of the commission. But I just wanted to mention that it's, something that's like top of mind for me. I mean, not personally for me, but on behalf of the artists who have been asking for that, to mention it.
I think it's a really important point, and that's something that this committee will be tasked with looking at, is making recommendations to the council, requesting that the council ask the planning board to look at changes to zoning around live workspace. Because currently that is not in our zoning, and I think that that's why it's going to be raised in the cultural, and we'll see it in the cultural plan, is that we have to change our zoning rules overall, which is kind of a long process. It has to go through the planning board first and then come to the council. And usually the planning board has to hire a consultant to look at it, to draft the new zoning code before it comes to them. So it's going to take a little while, but that's where there's value in having an arts and cultural commission and a group of people who have the opportunity to ask for what they think we need first for that to go forward.
All right, so if I'm able to get into a conversation with somebody this evening, I'm introducing myself as me, a local artist, or can I introduce myself as a new member of the commission just being formed? I just want to plant this idea. Would you possibly, can I represent myself that way?
You don't represent the committee, but you represent yourself in your comments.
But I can say that I'm on the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I've seen that when people come in to speak at city council, they say, I'm a member of this committee, however, I'm here representing myself.
Mhm.
It's just,
Okay.
it's a
You can't speak
delineation.
for the
Right.
committee, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I do this all the time at the State House. So, and I'm on the legislative subcommittee for the city, but I go and regularly submit my views on for or against bills at the State House. And it asks, are you a private citizen, or are you an elected official? Well, I am an elected official. So I identify myself as a city councilor from the city of Portsmouth, and it says representing, and I click myself. Because I'm
Okay.
not representing the city, I'm not representing the council or the legislative subcommittee, but I am an elected official.
Sure.
from
Okay,
Portsmouth.
so the planning board meeting tonight will have a public comment session just like every meeting.
Planning board is is interesting, yes, but also public hearing. So each proposal gets a hearing, and so you can speak at the hearing. But, you know, I can't give you great advice on that because city councilors are not supposed to go speak in front of the planning board or the zoning board. Yeah, so that's now in our
So I
ethics
just
rule.
play it by ear.
So,
So is the developers on the planning board?
According to the newspaper, they're presenting to the planning
Oh,
commission
there you go.
tonight.
Then you got the right people in the room.
Right, so I'm thinking, can I plant an idea and see if they would have any interest in it? Because I'm sure they haven't even crossed their mind.
mhm, mhm. And there's some proposals that are currently, that are before the council and that planning is looking at around artist studio space in their homes, like teaching lessons in their homes. That is currently something that's under consideration already, just so you know. But live workspace is it's on everybody's mind, but not there yet. Yeah. So I want to make sure, one of the things that we will make sure we do before, I'll ask Sean to do this, is after the council adopts the cultural plan, I will ask Sean to circulate it to everyone so that everybody has a copy. And I think before that meeting, that first meeting in March, it would be important for everyone to review it carefully, so that we have some ideas coming into that meeting about where do we want to go? What do we want to start thinking about addressing first?
The other thing I'll encourage Eli, do you want to see?
Just, there's a question on the screen. Do commissions have alternate members who attend meetings?
Oh, this is a good question.
Yeah.
We have a nomination currently for an alternate member that will come up for a final vote next Tuesday night. And once they're approved, they can attend the meetings.
So I was gonna say, if you can't wait to do a little research. Here's what the EDC did, and this commission is kind of modeled after that. So the EDC had a retreat and looked at kind of their goals and their focus and what they want to work on, and took into consideration the city council's new top 5 goals for the city. Because certainly the EDC wanted to be aligned with those. And from the conversation, the retreat they had, and looking at the city council's priorities, they've established 2 new working groups, which is in their domain of economic development, which is not only economic development, but it's economic development to improve the entire community. It's not just business. It's economic development for community improvement. And so one of those is business support, which includes arts and culture and everything that's involved in our economy. And another one is sustainability. And sustainability is the second priority of the city council. That comes after housing, and business support is on that top 5 list as well. So that's just if you want to look at what the city councilors have committed their priorities, that's an opportunity for this group to, I thought that was a neat way for the EDC to make sure they were aligned with their work.
So are these top 5 priorities a published document?
They are. I'm actually looking them up right now. So I don't have them in front of me.
Would it
Maybe
be in
Sean
there?
could just circulate them to the whole committee rather than go over them now.
You know, arts and culture is arts and culture is mentioned in one of them. So
Yes, it's in the, is it in the business support?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the, it was discussed at the February 5th meeting. I think that the mayor shared them with the public, so it's part of the public record. It's just, there's not a separate document that says here it is, but I'm
Yeah,
sure that will be forthcoming.
Yeah.
Housing, sustainability, increased communication with people who aren't normally communicative with the city. So more outreach, business support, and transportation. In that order, but I'll find a way to get them out to everybody.
Mhm.
I just had 2 other quick things. One was,
Mhm.
so alternate members, that member is gonna be voted on. That member could attend publicly as a public meeting, right? They just can't weigh in on the discussion. Is that right?
They can attend meeting as the alternate. They can't vote unless there is someone missing, and they would they would fill in that vote.
Got it.
So they attend like a full member, if you will.
So
Mhm.
would they
And
fill in a
participate.
quorum if, if we didn't have a
No,
quorum?
because they're not voting.
So they're not voting. Well, no, Sean just said they could.
Yeah,
fill in.
If
if-
someone's missing, they do.
They can fill in, yeah.
So I get,
If somebody resigns.
Well, no, if somebody's
Oh.
missing and they can fill in, so.
So then they can say we now have a quorum.
Yeah.
Because- Okay,
Oh,
so they can be a place filler. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
That-
And
That's good.
I just found the city council goal in case anyone wants to know what it is. It's kind of short and sweet. Support the needs of residents, businesses, nonprofits, arts and cultural institutions by leveraging city and local resources. Is the goal.
Read that one more time.
Support the needs of residents, businesses, nonprofits, arts and cultural institutions by leveraging city and local resources.
and you can circulate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't write it.
yep, got it. Okay.
One thing I just wanted to say, and then I have to go, but there are, one of the things that we talked a lot about when creating the cultural plan was accessing funding that was not in competition with the other nonprofits, which was an issue that happened with ArtSpeak. So there, as I'm doing some grant research, there are grants out there, federal, regional, for municipalities. I mean, only cities can apply to them. And, but often the deadlines are either very fast, like the one I just sent you, like it's March 1st, what? But I think anytime, as we're going along, I just wanted to put this into people's head that if there's something that the city already has going on, for instance, they're involved in something, and we can think of a way that we want to include the arts and culture in that, so that we help the city apply for that grant. In other words, is that something, I mean, because that's part of why I came on the committee, because I feel like that's a way that I can help is looking for funding.
Yeah, I think if you have a standing committee, which you now do, if you choose to make that a focus and a working group or so some kind of focus for the group, that's an opportunity. Right? Like both last year, the groups had very specific requirements that they had to deliver on before they sunset. This is a fresh start,
Mhm.
so.
And that is a critical part of the ordinance as well. The ordinance allows for this committee to raise funds that are designated for municipalities. So specifically, we were thinking about grant writing and it would be great if this committee were thinking about ways to raise those funds, because those funds then would come to the city for this committee to make those decisions about what do we do with those funds to support the cultural plan. So, and there is historic, we have historic precedents for this, just in the last 2 years. One of the planning board members, who was a city councilor, Beth Moreau, identified a grant and it spoke with the planning department about applying for the grant, I think in short order, about it with a week's deadline for a housing navigator. And we managed to get the grant for the housing navigator, and we've had a housing navigator for approximately a year by now. Yeah.
Who
So-
wrote that grant?
Our planning department, I
Planning
believe, did it.
department.
Yes. So if you identify a resource and it's between meetings and we have a short deadline, send it to Sean. Because if the staff has capacity to address it, the staff can make decisions about that as well. So if the staff has the capacity at the time to apply for a grant, then they can proceed without this committee necessarily making that decision.
We are at time.
Mhm.
So great discussion. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to your inboxes. We'll send out the next steps and some information for you to think about. And I guess we will regather on the 25th of March. Okay,
Pick one.
1 o'clock. Yes. Thank you.
13
Bye,
days.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.